What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I have wanted to make this since November. I feel like I didn't cover enough of it in this video. You can go check it out. And I thought to myself, you know what? It's time. We got to make this. So I added it to the polls over the last couple of weeks. And finally, it's won. Anyways, 2016, what a time to be alive. For some reason, I and many others share this point of view that 2016 was an awesome year. I like the year in general, not just wrestling. YouTube was probably at its peak during that point, and just the vibes of that time, I guess. Overall, I remember that year fondly, and one of the things I think of when I'm reminded of 2016 is none other than that WWE year. It was full of optimism, the likes we haven't seen since 2011, I believe. We had all three members of the Shield win the WWE Championship. AJ Styles and Shinsuke debuted. Finn Balor had the biggest rocket strapped to him, and I will eventually make a video on it. And then there's SmackDown Live. In this video, I'll cover one of the more noteworthy eras in recent memory, SmackDown Live, from July 2016 all the way up to WrestleMania 33. You know, SmackDown Live, the house that AJ Styles built, the land of opportunity. So right now, let's get into it. But before I do, let me just say thank you for 40K. I am very grateful that you guys actually subscribe to the channel and enjoy the content. I'll definitely change the styles of these videos once I do a face reveal at 50K, I guess. But to be honest, I might even do it beforehand. But yeah, if I don't do it when I reach 50K, then I will do it beforehand. So either 50K or beforehand. And once I do reveal my face, the videos will definitely change. I'll try to add footage and stuff like that too. Right now, let's get into it. Okay, WWE in 2016 was undergoing change. They decided to split both Raw and SmackDown once again, and to be honest, I don't think many were optimistic about this. Why? Well, during the original brand split, guys started to wrestle on shows they weren't even a part of, and eventually they just scrapped the brand split. Now, was bringing the brand split the right decision at the time? Maybe, because the roster at this point was stacked. They can't really give time to the likes of Kalisto, Apollo Crews, and Baron Corbin to develop when the roster was just one big group. Over time, many stars that were called up from NXT were just abandoned after 3 months, and so with the return of the brand split, this benefited them. Now, I believe this was the #1 reason why they divided the roster, is because it was too damn big. I remember hearing rumblings in early 2016 about the brand split and how AJ Styles was going to be the face of SmackDown. At this point, though, they were just rumors. But then on May 25th, 2016, WWE.com revealed that SmackDown was going to go live on a weekly basis, and it would be moved to Tuesdays starting July 19th. The brand split was finally back, and WWE were hell-bent on making us believe that this was the new era. Despite their over-exaggeration on things, I personally felt like it was a new era. They gave both brands authority figures. Raw got Stephanie McMahon as the commissioner and Mick Foley as the GM, while SmackDown got Shane McMahon as the commissioner and Daniel Bryan as the GM. On the July 19th episode of SmackDown, WWE held a draft. When the dust was settled, I personally thought SmackDown was screwed. Raw got Finn, Seth, Roman, Brock, Zayn, KO, The New Day, Y2J, Sasha, Charlotte. Well, SmackDown, yeah, they did get some pretty good guys too, such as Dean, the WWE Champion, AJ Styles, John Cena, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt. But they were lacking in the women's division. It seemed like there wasn't much experience in the women's division. They were given Carmella and Alexa Bliss. Now, need I remind you, both of those women weren't exactly established at this point. They weren't proven commodities. Oh, and Eva Marie was there too. But what we didn't know was that SmackDown had untapped potential at this point. And when the first episode of SmackDown aired, I wasn't very fond of the theme song. You saw Raw get that Shine Down song, and it was just an awesome intro. It was gritty, but then I actually listened to the lyrics of the SmackDown song, and damn, they make sense. Let me just describe them to you right now. They say we're lucky to have gotten this far, and it's not worth fighting for. The words are written on the wall. Come on and fight back. No starting over again. We'll take it right back from the ones we're against. It's time to rise up. SmackDown Easter egg. Even though they left us for dead. The draft. And this is our last stand, and we got to take a chance now and draw a line in the sand. It's in our hands now. SmackDown at this point, they just got to do what they do best. No living with regret. It's time to rise up, even though they left us for dead. This is our last chance or stand. That theme song basically makes sense. It describes SmackDown and how it's always in Raw's shadow, I guess, and now it's time to prove him wrong. See, after a couple of weeks, the intro grew on me. Now, looking at SmackDown, they didn't have a cruiserweight division like Raw, and the roster was much thinner than the Raw brand. But the one advantage Tuesday nights had over Monday nights was the perfect mix of past and future. And right when the show began, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon let us know that SmackDown Live is the land of opportunity, unlike Raw. Now, I will definitely cover that week in WWE next month, hopefully. For right now, though, let's focus on the show's structure. The show made good use of the time it was given and no minute was wasted. Like, as the show went on, progress was made with whatever story was unfolding, and basically everything made sense in a way. Well, most of it. There's obviously something that doesn't make sense during the show, but you know, most of the time there's a story there. And by the time the show ends, you can't wait to watch it the following week. By the way, I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about you, but personally, right when SmackDown ended, I couldn't wait to watch it the following week. There was new camera angles, and the presentation of the show felt very different from Raw, and that's exactly what I liked about the brand split initially. Both shows had an identity and a different vibe to them, and looking back on SmackDown, most of the guys on the roster had a storyline. As a matter of fact, looking at all these guys, Heath Slater's career was revitalized due to this brand split. He literally got the crowd to loudly chant, "Sign Heath Slater." I'll get to that soon. Overall, you knew that the show was prepared earlier on, there was intent with the stories, and so the show was cohesive and well put. There was great matches, great stories, and great promos. They weren't lacking in any of those areas. There was also comedy, there was serious storylines, everything was there. I will say though that I felt like the tag division at times felt weak. I only remember a couple of stories that happened there, but my interest wasn't really in the tag team division. It was in the women's division, the main events, the mid-card, everything else basically. I did like a couple of stories there, and I'll get to them soon. As for the mid-card scene, it was filled with stories too. Kalisto and Apollo Crews had programs. I mean, Kalisto, man, who doesn't like good lucha things? Mauro Ranallo was tremendous on commentary, while David Otunga, though, he was trying to let us know that he's spoken to Rikishi, and the commentary team cuts him off at every moment. He eventually did reveal that he spoke to Rikishi about his sons, the Usos, on a set of his new movie or something like that. It was just so random. And when he did reveal what Rikishi said, Rikishi's words were, he wanted the Usos to take what's theirs. Oh my god. He led us on for several weeks in order to tell us that Rikishi wanted his sons to take what's theirs. I mean, isn't that obvious? Overall, everyone was doing something. Even Tyler Breeze and Fandango were doing something. They were fleshing out their characters with those backstage segments, and they were entertaining. The Fashion Police, they were given this jobber gimmick, and they managed to make it work. And looking back, I can't believe they weren't pushed during this time period. But hey, maybe there's hope for them. I mean, they're still a team right now. You never know. Before I move on to storylines, I have to mention the one thing that really put SmackDown over Raw, in my opinion, and that's Talking Smack. The show launched on the WWE Network on August 2nd, 2016, and it was just amazing. Now, I'm not one for interview shows that much, barring the obvious like the Stone Cold ones, but this one was must-see for me. Guys like Baron Corbin, their characters were developed on the show. If they weren't talking on SmackDown, they were definitely speaking on Talking Smack. I believe Baron Corbin was the one guy, barring a certain someone, that shined on the show for me. He let us know that he doesn't have any friends. He said that he doesn't give a damn about anyone, and all he cares about is the W and the money. Daniel Bryan was getting shouted at. He was trying to find ways to get fired. He was talking about SmackDown and how he was really into fisting. What the hell? Every other week he was trying to find ways to get fired. The guys and gals on the show communicated freely, and some stories were advanced on Talking Smack. Now, initially I wasn't watching the show, but then this promo, well, it made me tune in. On the August 23rd, 2016 edition of Talking Smack, The Miz cut a very standout promo about how the Intercontinental Championship was being overlooked. Daniel Bryan said that The Miz wrestles like a coward, and this pushed Miz over the edge. The promo was outstanding. He tore into Daniel Bryan, calling him a coward for not wrestling, and The Miz in these 3 or 4 minutes, he cut a promo of the utmost level. Renee Young tried playing peacekeeper, but The Miz refused to be silent. He raised the prestige of the Intercontinental title in a matter of minutes. He promised that this will be the most relevant title on the show. In the following week's SmackDown, he literally opened the show due to how great his promo was. Now, before we move on and mention some of the most memorable storylines, I have to bring up some of the significant moments in the very short history of Talking Smack. You guys remember Miz and Bryan's arguments? They literally argued every time Miz was on there, and it was only a matter of seconds before they bickered non-stop. At one point, though, Miz had Marie speak to Bryan for him, and he sat there in silence. Another time, they argued non-stop, and the show went off the air, despite them still complaining. Also, what about the time when The Miz was about to cry when he lost the Intercontinental Championship? He went ballistic in a way that we haven't seen it, and it felt like The Miz was really mental.
No one in this company is better than me! I've been the best! I'm the freaking best! Don't you?
Also, you guys remember the time when AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan argued about the most random thing? The shape of the Earth. Like, this is literally one of the most hilarious things I've seen on SmackDown. Daniel Bryan straight up called him out on it, and AJ kind of defended his belief in the Earth being flat. And if you haven't seen this segment, just go check it out. Anyways, I know I didn't mention some others, but to me, these are some of the most memorable things to come out of Talking Smack during this era of SmackDown. I love the show because a lot of freedom was given to the wrestlers, and some like Baron Corbin and The Miz thrived on it. It's such a shame that the show was canceled due to budget cuts or because Vince hated it, ratings or something like that. Like, I don't know, but it's such a shame. Moving on to storylines, first up is Heath Slater. At this point, Slater went undrafted, and even some of his friends like Curtis Axel were actually selected in the draft. Hell, even Eva Marie was drafted to a show. So he decided to demand a contract in the next couple of weeks from both brands. He failed in his efforts every single time. One time he was on the receiving end of a gore. The following week he brought out Jinder Mahal and he claimed that 2MB was going to set Raw on fire. Then Jinder stabbed him in the back and won a WWE contract. That's a whole other story for another day. Heath Slater at one point even interrupted Brock Lesnar and he told him that he's got kids. As for the Beast's response, I don't give a about your kids. Good God. He then assaulted him and took him to Suplex City. Slater, though, eventually seized the opportunity. He guaranteed victory in the tag team tournament and he promised to find a tag team partner. Bryan informed him that if he does find a tag team partner, then he's in the tournament. Shane then let him know that he must win the entire tournament to win a contract, and he began searching for a partner, but to no avail. Then Rhino went up to him, and this was the start of a beautiful relationship. Now, the reason why Slater wanted the contract was simple. He's got kids, and he has to pay for the above-ground swimming pool. They faced the likes of the Headbangers, 2016 Headbangers, the Hype Bros, en route to the finals at Backlash. Heath even introduced us to his kids at one point, but their final opponents were a different beast compared to the Headbangers and the Hype Bros. It was the Usos. Now, before we talk about the Backlash match, I just gotta mention the rise of the Usos. After losing to American Alpha in about a minute, Jimmy and Jay unleashed hell on the duo, turning heel for the first time in about 5 years. The Usos did a 180 to their characters. Everything that they were previously was thrown out the window. They changed their attires, they changed their music, they changed the way they spoke, and this made them relevant again. I personally felt like they got stale in like 2015, so this change was certainly welcomed by me. As for Slater and Rhino, they won the tag titles at Backlash, which meant Slater's got the money to pay for the above-ground swimming pool. It was a fun story, and I'm just glad it was perfectly written. Also, American Alpha had a good story, but like the won the titles a bit early in my opinion. But it was a good story regardless. And moving on from the tag division, SmackDown Live also had a couple of interesting women's feuds. Carmella, who was just there in NXT, was suddenly placed in a feud with Nikki Bella, and this made her a star overnight. She cut some scathing promos on Nikki about John Cena, and the program was interesting. I don't remember the matches though, I don't think they were good, but the promos were pretty entertaining. Naomi reinvented herself with the glow thing, and looking back, it's weird that she never got a run with the belt beforehand. But now she's finally got the opportunity to hold the title, and she even won the belt at WrestleMania for a second time. As for the individual I think benefited most from the draft, it was Alexa Bliss. In NXT, she was just half valet, half wrestler, but after moving to SmackDown, she became a prominent figure, and within 4 months, she dethroned Becky Lynch to become the SmackDown Women's Champion. This run basically showed that the brand split was a success in a way. Like, had there not been a brand split, would all of this stuff have happened within 4 months? Doubtful. As for Becky Lynch, she finally got to shine on her own. Before the brand split, she was a forgotten member of the Horsewomen in a way. Every tag partner she had turned on her, and I remember some calling her the female Sting due to how everyone was turning on her. Unfortunately, though, for Becky Balboa, yeah, she called herself that. After a few months, they kind of forgot about her in a way. Little did they know what the last kicker was capable of. Overall, the SmackDown Women's division was full of fresh faces. The Mickie James return was certainly awesome. I look at this time period fondly, basically. Moving on from the women's division, let me mention some of the fun storylines that went on during this era of SmackDown. The Wyatt and Randy Orton story was so damn good. I really loved how Orton was hell-bent on getting Bray's trust, that he sacrificed himself for the Wyatt family. Orton then captured tag team gold with Bray, and slowly, he was plotting. He won the Royal Rumble shockingly to me, and then he relinquished the WrestleMania match after Bray Wyatt won the title. Oh yeah, Bray Wyatt winning the title, like that was a bizarrely awesome moment. It was cool seeing Wyatt hold that title. Luke Harper then started to gain momentum, and rumor has it that WWE considered having him in the match, but they decided against it, and it's kind of unfortunate. He did have momentum during this time period, and no, it's not revisionist history or anything like that. He was connecting with the crowd a bit. Then Orton set the Wyatt compound ablaze and demanded his title shot. He had a fun match with AJ Styles to win back the title match, and as for that WrestleMania match, moving on, seriously though, I didn't like it. Those damn bug projections or whatever the hell it was almost made me vomit, and Randy Orton just marched in there and he beat Wyatt just like that. I personally thought that derailed Wyatt's momentum, but overall, the story was good. Match, the payoff, boring. Like, what can I say about it? I just didn't like that match. Moving on, let me mention the whole AJ and Dean thing. This is one of the first things I think of when I hear SmackDown Live 2016. I really loved it. It was funny, yet serious when it needed to be. They had a thing for kicking each other in the groin. Their match at Backlash was really good, and it's unfortunate, though, that Dean lost the title because of that interview, I believe, and because of his deteriorating performances. But on the other side, AJ Styles was the perfect guy to take it from him. I also loved how the ending was AJ returning the favor to Dean once again to win the title, and it was just an entertaining bout, and I think I'm going to go watch it after I'm done with this video. Then James Ellsworth and John Cena got involved, and every week we saw some entertaining promos, hilarious encounters, and some top-notch matches. At one point, Dean told Cena that he could have fun playing this character on TV, have fun playing John Cena on TV. He believed that Cena was like a guy that buried talent and stuff like that, and it was cool. Dean started to get really pissed at this time, and he was starting to show off a vicious side during this promo, and he was just fed up. The TLC match between Styles and Dean was one of a kind, and AJ Styles ripped his pants during the match. Overall, it was one of AJ Styles' best feuds in his young WWE career. Moving on to John Cena. The stories he had on the show were pretty much must-see. The AJ Styles story was truly phenomenal, and I would definitely cover it in the future. His story with The Miz was really engaging, the promos were world-class, and the most memorable moment perhaps to come out of this feud was when he proposed to Nikki Bella at WrestleMania 33. We all know how that went. Overall, John Cena's time on the Blue Brand throughout 2016 and 2017 was a noteworthy chapter in his career. And lastly, I'd like to mention the guy who benefited the most from the brand split, The Miz. Good God, his run on SmackDown was really tremendous. His facial expressions, his feud with Dolph Ziggler. By the way, Ziggler was the man for a few months, and it seemed like he was on his way again, but unfortunately they turned him heel at the worst time. Everything about The Miz was really awesome, no pun intended. He really made the Intercontinental Championship seem like the biggest thing in the world. The introduction of Maurice, I know what happened beforehand, it really helped The Miz. He brought out the absolute best in Dolph Ziggler, he triggered Renee Young and Dean Ambrose. He was the standout star of this era of SmackDown for me. Personally, I knew AJ Styles was going to shine on the Blue Brand, but I didn't entertain the thought of The Miz being one of the best on the show. But he kicked that door wide open, and for me, he was the most outstanding star of this run. And yes, I will definitely make a video on him in the future, and I will try adding some footage to it, hopefully. So yeah, that's SmackDown in 2016 to 17. Obviously, I can't mention everything that literally happened, but I got most of it. For some stuff I didn't mention, who knows, separate video, American Alpha whole run video in the future, stuff like that. I will say, though, I personally felt like Dean was underwhelming during the run. It's not his fault, though. After a couple of disappointing matches in the summer, he bounced back, but WWE wasn't feeling it. At one point, he was even relegated to pre-show status for WrestleMania 33, and I thought that was messed up, because this guy was the absolute workhorse for the company in the last 2 years. Then again, some people were complaining about the woman not being featured on the show, and so out of every match, they chose that one to headline the pre-show. Anyways, I believe it was Ryan Ward who was the lead writer for the show, and once Road Dogg took over, or partnered up with him or something like that, everything changed. I don't know the whole story, but one thing that's for sure is that Ward was writing 2015 NXT, which is my favorite year of the Yellow Brand, and he was definitely writing the stuff for SmackDown Live during this era. Yeah, the whole Road Dogg story was confusing. I'm not even sure when he joined. I believe he joined in January or something, but the real stories like Road Dogg booked started to show after the Superstar Shakeup or something like that. Yeah, after the Superstar Shakeup, everything changed, and not for the good. Overall, from July 2016 to April 2017, it was my favorite time period in modern WWE, not only SmackDown. I did like some stuff on Raw too, and by the looks of it, I think I should make this a series. We cover an era of Raw or SmackDown, and you guys, comment down below, what do you want next? You guys want Raw 2002 to 2004? You guys want SmackDown 2005 to 2007? Raw 2016 to 17? Just comment down below what era you want next. Anyways, SmackDown was really consistent during this time period, and if I had to give you one episode to watch from this era, then choose December 27th, 2016, the wildcard episode. And yeah, that's it for this video. Make sure you hit a dirty deeds on the like button, and perhaps a skull-crushing finale on the subscribe button. Peace, I'm out.